Okay, so hello everyone. I'm sorry for the delay video for yesterday, but today I'm gonna summarize how the market's going yesterday and predict some of the pattern turn of the index and the general market for today. The video about the currency, I promise I'm gonna finish this by the end of this week because there are a lot of things to, put in regarding the technical analysis and fundamental analysis at the same time. So I delayed a little bit so to prepare it more thoroughly. So let's summarize yesterday market. So yesterday, like all major, I'm sorry. Okay, so yesterday all major European and mostly US equity index closed lower. I'm sorry, this is for the yesterday market, but if you look closer, okay, here. So this is for today. This is for this morning market. But yesterday, like they closed lower, and here you can see this is yesterday. It's closed closer, lower, while APAC market were mixed. Asian Pacific market were mixed. US and US and benchmark European government bond closed sharply higher, and European tracks, iTrax and CDX credit default swap and a close wider across IG and high yield with high yield. Um, and also the US dollar and gold close higher, as you can see here. The US and the gold close higher. This is actually not a surprise because after like the US like holiday and also like the US dollars also close a little bit higher. Let's look a little bit at forex. So the XY closed higher yesterday. Please note that we're all now including like kind of. Okay, so first of all, let's look at American market in more detail. So most major U.S. Index closed lower except for Nasdaq 100. Nasdaq 100 with all-time record high. S&P 500 minus 0.2%. Dow Jones is lower, quite lower, and Russell 2000 is really low. Like it is down up to 1.4%. So in general, investors have mostly shrugged off inflation fears. However, concerns surrounding rising Delta variant cases and the potential disruptions of the global economic recovery has resulted in variations in major equity market performance, such as that between most restrained Asian stock and new all-time highs in the U.S. And it continues solid upturn in the JP Morgan Global Manufacturing PMI also saw regional variation. So let's look a little bit at JP Morgan Global Manufacturing. Global Manufacturing PMI. Okay, so here. Yes, so here's is monthly for okay, so basically it's higher, but I'm sorry I don't have a more detail within the region, but basically this is the result is very is really very between different regions. Also saw with extended strength in Eurozone and the US, while Asia continued to underperform. Investors react with variant in monthly factor performance by taking in more risk and exposure to momentum stock. So this is quite interesting to say that while shunning previously outperformed deep value shares across many regional markets. So explanation for this actually like I think yes, because the actually this cannot really explain because Delta variants usually they want to saving more. So, but however, the U.S. market closed closer yesterday. Maybe also reflect the fear that is encrypted in every investor about the new variant. So, but we still it's still a question of whether it's true or not. And U.S. value measures such as forward 12-month earning per share to enterprise value were practically weak performer among large cap, while higher risk small cap shares rank in the bottom decile of 60-month beta outperform. Uh, Within Europe, investors tempered their optimism in high momentum shares launched by the Rational Decay Alpha with low risk exposure to name capture by 24-month BAR. With developed Pacific, high quality firm was specifically rewarded as presented in the inventory turnover ratio. Emerging market investor took on a renewed interest in high momentum, high risk name as confirmed by outperformance of Rational Decay Alpha and the underperformance of 24-month BAR. Okay, so let's look a little bit at the government 10-year bond closed lower. I mean, yesterday's closed lower. Yes, quite close. So, and 1.98% lower. Basically, reflect like that's why the investor not really fear of inflation yesterday. Although this is still lower, maybe followed by a correction after like a really big upturn last week. Credit default swap NAIG closed higher. Basically, it's reflect more risk to be honest. Index closed higher, gold closed like gold closed higher, silver higher. Oh, sorry, silver lower yesterday 1.2% and copper 0.6%. Crude oil closed. Okay, so crude oil closed lower yesterday. Okay, with the formula after 5 days of failed talk. Also, update yesterday news. So after 5 days of failed talk, OPEC, OPEC minister canceled a formal meeting on July 5th to decide on how and by how much to increase oil supply from August on. Informal negotiation are continuing, but there's no indication as to when a new formal meeting will be convened. And in an official Moniquick, OPEC said the date of the next meeting would be decided by the deal cost. So they have quite a narrow time window to be honest, and an agreement on increasing productions by 400,000 BD monthly from August through December was seemingly in place, but the negotiation reached an impasse when the UAE, the third largest producer in OPEC, refused to accept an extension of the current output restraint agreement. So basically, they just decide whether to like they want to control the amount of supply, so to kind of put some kind of price ceilings, also price war and price ceilings. Okay. Okay, so this is one of the news that's quite concerning also. So data from Israel suggests that Pfizer vaccine is less effective at protecting against infection caused by the Delta variant. It's just published yesterday, but retain its potency to prevent severe illness from highly contagious strain. So the vaccine protected 64% of inoculated people from infection during an outbreak of Delta variant, down from 94% before. Uh, okay. Hmm. Okay, so average over last week. Okay, we can keep this. Hmm. Okay, so let's move on to Europe and Europe region. So major European equity index closed lower with UK down 0.9%, Denmark lower, Germany lower. All of them are lower. So that's kind of predict how the U.S. market gonna go in the future. Eurozone employment dropped by 306,000 in May, the third straight decline, and it's the biggest since November 2020. The 3-month moving average decline was 154,000 as of May, roughly three times April equivalent for the harmonized unemployment rate fell from 8.1% to 7.9%. Okay, this is quite a good result, but there's still some concern about the Delta variant. Mm. All of the major consisting of the launch of expectations, May factory orders, everything seems. Oh, sorry, it's really launch of expectations slipped to 63.3 from 79.3. A measure of current consideration turned positive for the first time in 2 years, indicate more good than bad. However, the Germany May factory orders fell 3.7% month by month versus the 0.9% expected. Okay, so actually it's quite mixed between different corporations. I don't want to go into too much details because this one is just for like the summarizations of the market. Bank financing growth is weakening in emerging European as loan mortgage will be expiring. Loans that were put under moratoria during the COVID-19 virus shock comprise the highest share of loan portfolio in Hungary, Slovenia, and Croatia. Yes, so basically, it's really, I think it's quite normal. The non-performing loan ratio increased slightly, which is not really good. Okay. Okay, so lastly is the Asia Pacific. So Hansen goes quite mixed. So this one is like Hong Kong goes lower, Korea higher. Yeah, so Nikkei lower. So China, cyberspace regulator had reported suggested. Okay, so yesterday there's quite big news about Didi Chuxing, a very big, taxi cab companies, technology taxi companies. That has been investigated by Chinese government. So China's cyberspace regulator had reported suggested Didi Chuxing should delay its IPO and to evaluate its network security. It was made last week, and this has made like the stock and the valuation of Didi Chuxing to decrease by 25%. So it's not like a big news when China want to control its company. However, this came as many shock to European and US investor because this can affect all the deals in the future. Yes, it's not really a good news. However, in the perspective of Chinese government, it is necessary due to some kind of because they want to control and like have the full control over their all of the economic factor. Actually, we already discussed about this in video about currency. They have a really tight control economies, and that's why they can still devalue their currency without causing hyperinflation. That's actually a really good strategy. So I think this can somehow of making the yen. I'm sorry, not the yen. The yuan of Chinese to flow out of the country, and that may affect their control over their own currency. Actually, yeah, so basically they are really smart with that, but still it posed a lot of concern over the future Chinese IPO, which is a really normal reaction. All of the news is all about like the new type of cars that help the environment. One of another data is Japan real household expenditures fell by 2.1% month by month on a seasonally adjusted base in May, following the three consecutive months of growth. Low base effect continue to support robust year-on-year growth at an 11.6%. Okay, the MM weakness largely reflected decline in clothing and footwear and transportations because the second state of emergency. So this is also affected by the really low base year. Nominal monthly average cash earning fell by 0.8% with seasonal adjusted base in May, but rose by 1.9% year on year. The month-on-month weakness was still largely to a 4.5% decline in total hours worked from the previous month. Okay, this is not that big a surprise, but actually it doesn't sound really positive for the Japan economy. It just reflects that the coronavirus still have quite major impact. Here you can see. So May 21. I'm sorry I don't have the June one here. I think I'm gonna update it later. Maybe in the yes, in the description. Vietnamese conglomerate Vingroup has planned to invest like $2 billion to penetrate the United States EV market. Report the Vietnam News Brief Service. The conglomerate plans to sell like 15,000 EV in the US next year and raise annual sales to 160,000 in the future, which is equivalent to 1% of the country vehicle market share, highlight the report. I'm really looking forward to this because this is the first time a developing countries like Vietnam can jump in a really kind of high barrier entry market. High barrier entry industry, especially in the US market, highly competitive. But I'm really, kind of post like expected that gonna happen, and yeah. So that's for the major news. Okay, so let's look at the news today. It seems like the US market may close a little bit higher today because let's look a little bit at the futures data. So it all closed higher, as you can see here. ES1, S2, ESM2, and we, except for it, okay, so except for this one, hmm, okay, so except for this one, mini, this one, all of the seems to be positive, but I need to look, I'm sorry, but I need to look more into this because, okay, can you guys wait for a minute? See me. Okay, so basically it seems like the futures closing like, I'm sorry for the delay, but basically, I just want to check more about the some kind of measurement between two measurements, so I can tell you the most accurate analysis. Hmm. Um. Okay. Let's look at all the news because this is quite low now. But just keep in mind that the future close higher, but for ESM2, I think like this is not really positive right now. So it may, the stock market may be mixed, maybe mixed in the next trading section because it seemed like the ESM 2021, I'm sorry, ESM 20, 2021. Okay, so actually we are like, I'm sorry. It seems like the market gonna goes down compared to other like increasing. Like I gonna like look more into this definitely tomorrow to say like continue next contract in front, e mini future contract in front. This one June. Hmm. But this is one is June, so not really sure. Nasdaq is like increased yesterday because of really tech heavy growth. So I don't know, but like this is for this one. Mm, okay, so I'm gonna look more into this in the future. I'm really sorry for these delays. So but it seems like it's really negative in this one. Yes, to seem more positive, but this one concerned me a little bit. And also, let's look a little bit of the world market indicator. I see a really positive European market, which also, can help the US market and help predict US market a little bit. Yeah, Nikkei lows lower. Okay, so that's it. That's for today. I think we should look some kind of because I just read a news on my and it says something about like the say something about like hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. This is 18 June, so this is not really reflective right now. Okay, okay, I got it. I got it. I'm sorry for this miscommunication. So this one we shouldn't look at because this is like in June 2021, so it's not really reflective. The future today seems quite positive, so there's no problem about that. What we are waiting today, let's look at some kind of uh, economic calendar. So is it quite important to look at the more like macroeconomic sense? Other than let's before waiting for that, I just want to summarize some of the news. about some of the more interesting news regarding like the 140 billion dollar asset sale. So basically, they are changing to a more like, you know, climate change, not like anti climate change solutions. So they are like putting billion up on sales. They are like more on the kind of alternative that don't affect the environment. So July 17 today, there are no economics news. But tomorrow, which is July 8, we can expect some kind of initial employment claims, consumer credit, and weekly Fed data. So consumer credit can be quite important because, you know, if it can show the, how we say, the general public, you know, risk or like, you know, confidence about the economies to extend credit. And initial unemployment claim also, which is quite important, I think. It can show some kind of, but it's still weekly, so it's not really reflecting. It can have some kind of variations. So that's it for today. I think like you would probably, I hope like you have can have a wonderful trading day. Inflation trade or on the news right now. Actually, I really want to do it tonight, like throughout the night, to kind of summarize all of the news regarding the trading sessions, because there are some inflation trade watch lists we should look at. I really want to do some kind of technical, you know, analysis regarding whether to buy or sell. Probably 9:30 today. I'm gonna be online and record this. You know, jumped into the game. So I really hope that you guys can, you know, stay tuned for me and wait for me a little bit. I'm sorry for the currency exchange because currency pair like forex, because I have a lot of like technical analysis, fundamental analysis to get done with, and I want it to be more as much thorough, as much detail and in depth as possible. So let's stay tuned for it, and I definitely promise to do the conservative portfolio as well as the forex kind of analysis this weekend. So not going to delay for that. I really hope that you guys can have a wonderful trading day. And later tonight, I can have some kind of videos about Repo 105, the one that caused like major, you know, fall out of the financial market 2008. I'm gonna explain it a little bit more so you guys can understand how a big bank like Lehman Brothers can, you know, hide $50 billion loan from the general public and the investor. So and then shareholder also like shareholder investor. So yeah, so see you guys for tonight.